Today is part 2 of how to get out of the slumber, the stupor. It seems like it's so thick within American Christianity, and not just us, but how can we help other people get out of it? And today we are covering the last 4 ways to defeat the stupor. Before covering the last 4 ways to defeat the stupor, I want to remind us, as I mentioned last week when we talked about the first 3 ways, that these are not steps to defeating the stupor, meaning you have to do 1, then 2, and they're sequential, and you get to 7, and you're free. It might actually simply be that you need to do 1 of these 7 things, or 2 or 3, or whatever. There are 7 ways to defeat the stupor, not steps. Number 4. Ask the Lord for a fresh filling of the Holy Spirit. And I do this all the time. I want God to give me fresh oil, so to speak, or you might say fresh manna from heaven, so to speak, but I want in fresh empowerment of Him. And if that's happening, Jesus talked about streams of living water would come forth from us. If we have streams of living water coming forth, we will not be living in the stupor. Number 5. Spend some time before the Lord asking Him to show you how this stupor is getting into your life, how this dullness is affecting you, how this almost like fogginess that keeps us from being razor sharp on mission, how it's getting into you. So number 5 is to ask the Lord for that discernment so that you can understand what doors you've got to close, what habits you need to stay away from, and what other activities or relationships you need to have in order to propel yourself forward in terms of having the vibrancy of Christ. And again, this is so important for obvious reasons, but in Ephesians chapter 5, it says, make the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. They said that in the first century. We can say that right now about America, and we've got to get out of this stupor. Number 6, resist the demonic realm. Resist darkness. Resist Satan. This is James chapter 4, verse 7. We need to say no when this stuff starts to happen. And of course, he's appealing to our flesh, like watch more TV, surf the internet, do whatever, but just dial back in terms of anything we were going to do to step out in faith. Anything we were going to do that we know that the Lord has called us to do. So we have to discern these distractions and close those doors so that those streams of living water will continue, and we have that discernment to do so. And therefore, the enemy is being kept at bay. And fundamentally, I do believe this is a spiritual battle. I don't believe that it's just a concept of stupor and we need to choose differently. Yes, there is that, but I believe that there's actual demonic forces that are trying to put a wet blanket on you, and you have got to resist the enemy and command the enemy to leave. 7th and last, ask God for His prayer and fasting rhythms so that you can fully break the stupor over your life, your family, over your church community, other Christian friends, and ultimately we'd love to see the stupor broken even over our cities so that the lost will start to wake up out of their slumber and get interested in spiritual things and become convicted by the Holy Spirit of sin, righteousness, and judgment to come, and then want to respond in faith. So we have huge goals here. I believe God has a huge goal or vision as it relates to defeating the stupor. Finally, in closing, this stupor, I believe, is one of the greatest threats, one of the greatest enemies that we're fighting today. I know we can focus on a bunch of cultural issues of what's going on, and we need to focus on those cultural issues. But underneath, there is this thing. It is a stupor, and it must be dealt with. Now, you can find this exact card. Again, you can use it as a bookmark. We made it that size on purpose that summarizes these 7 ways to defeat the stupor. You can find it at forerunnersofamerica.org at the store. There's a nominal fee just for our printing costs and shipping. But you can have that if this would be helpful to you or to your church to get the word out on how to defeat the stupor. And so once a community together of people is defeating the stupor, that is when the real power comes. And I believe it starts with you addressing people on first that there is a stupor, and then it must be defeated, and you're going to share with them how to do it. I look forward to being with you next time on Insights.